So what are you seeing as far as other countries? Do you think we need to be worried about some of the other countries that are becoming more competitive, especially with digital nomads and now with the internet, people are hiring people. I know from El Salvador, from Africa, from Ukraine, from all over the world. Do you think that also plays a part in what you're seeing in the labor force?
I actually don't. I think that there's plenty of work to go around, and work begets work, right? Don't think of the labor market as a fixed pie. Where if someone gets a piece of that pie, then now that piece is gone and you're never going to get that piece ever again. The labor market is very much more dynamic, and the more productive, innovative people are in the labor market, the opportunities rise accordingly. And so if you're an innovative person, you think about when the settlers moved west, there was no jobs. Like there was no job board, there was no government, there was nothing, right? But there was a lot of work to do. So there's always work to do, even if there's not a job. And the jobs will come as people figure out what work needs to be done, right? And that's really, that's the genesis of the labor market. And so if you have comparative advantage where some of the lower skilled jobs are being done by people in other countries, obviously, if they do a bad job, then the company needs to reshore things, which is happening quite a bit. But there are always going to be opportunities. I don't think that is going to go away. You got to find them, and you got to be willing to work hard. But I'm not opposed to, and an economist call it comparative advantage. Basically, if they can do a thing for cheaper, then you should use their services to do that. Now, that being said, like I go against that trend. So here at Red Balloon, all of my engineers who are building my technology are here in the office. We're not doing remote. We're not doing offshoring or any of those things, because I feel like the best innovation is going to happen when you have engineers in the same room with salespeople trying to solve customers' problems, right? And so that's where I decided that's my comparative advantage, that I'm going to be able to innovate and bless customers at a totally different scale if I have that environment. That's not the right thing for every business. But it shouldn't scare job seekers. It should be businesses making the right decision, and job seekers, there's always work to be done, and you start doing work, and then lo and behold, it will turn into a job.
So do you think there is something to when we all went remote as well for so many things like productivity? How do you think that's impacted the labor market too? Because now I know people who won't even look at a job if it's not remote. And for me, I'm ready to get back in the office to be around coworkers and colleagues. I thrive off the energy of being around other people.
Yeah, I worked at home for a year, and it nearly broke me. I love human beings. I think you're going to have a much healthier life if you interact with other human beings. And I think that's what COVID actually hurt society wide, is human beings. We need other people, right? And you see this with, the TV show Alone, right? You put someone on an island by themselves for 30 days and they go crazy. We need other people. That's just how we're built. There's no way around that. And so I think that there is sometimes this allure towards working at home because you have more productivity, actually, because you can just get more done. There's fewer distractions. No one's knocking on your door. No one's dropping by to say hi. But what you lose is that innovation, kind of the innovation pace that happens when you just run into somebody like, hey, what about this? Would this work? And they say, no, that's not going to work, but it does make me think about this, because every good idea in business comes from 9 bad ideas. And so you need to have that pace of innovation and of being able to throw out bad ideas that people are going to say, I don't like that idea, but there's an aspect of that I'm going to build off and turn into a good idea somewhere else. And I think we've lost that in a lot of ways. And that's why businesses increasingly are saying you need to come back in the office.
To the office. Yeah.
And it's not just discipline, right? Everyone's like, well, they don't trust their workers. No, that might be part of it for some people, but I don't think it's actually a trust issue. It's a pace of innovation and an ability to interact with people that is just different when you're in the office. And it's not going to work out for everybody. Sometimes I do have one remote employee because he's a total rock star. He's awesome. And I really wanted him on the team. And he still tries to be in the office for a day or two a month, right? He's an hour and a half drive away, right? Just because it's important to interact with people. So anyway, all that to be said, I think that I'm still optimistic about the labor market and where things are going. I think education is going to change quite a bit. But yeah, I do like having people in the office.
Do you think that we need everyone needs a college degree? Do you think we could just do away with not having a college degree at all?
Do you know that in the last 5 years, 264 colleges, degree granting colleges, have gone out of business in America? And people
Really?
aren't really talking about this. Wall Street Journal had an article about it. Basically, a lot of these smaller, no-name colleges and universities that have been producing these psychology degrees and graduates are just kind of going out of business because there's not enough. There's not enough. So there's two factors that are driving that. There is less demand for college degrees. So employers don't care as much, parents don't care as much, and kids don't care as much. So I don't think that there's a need for a college degree. My oldest son went to 1 year of college because he wanted to get some of the, life skills associated with that. Then he went off to Africa for 3 months to actually go to college in Lusaka, Zambia, just to get a cultural experience and get to push himself.
Did he like it?
He loved it, but he also was like, okay, now I'm ready to work. I want to get at it. I want to start earning money and start thinking about having a family at some point. So that was his mindset. Whereas I've got a couple other kids, they're going to go get at least an undergrad, if not a graduate degree, because they're really geared for school. And that's great. But not everybody needs to. I think the trades are great opportunities. My oldest son, who didn't finish college, he's a sales rep and doing great. Because he actually is a hard worker. He knows how to look people in the eyes and shake a hand.
Has soft skills.
And he's got those soft skills, and he's going to work his tail off. So anyway, the point is the labor market is changing. These universities are either going to adapt or they're going to go out of business because the demand for degrees is down and the demographics are just not there. We don't have enough people graduating high school because of the birth rate in America for the last 40 years.
Really?
We don't have enough. So last year was the peak of the demographics of the most high schoolers that are going to graduate in until the birth rate changes. So we just peaked, and we're now on a decline of number of high schoolers graduating for the foreseeable future, which means those are customers that are not going to go to a university, and there's less demand for a university degree. So there's a lot of mix up coming, and it's on the horizon.
But we need to focus on, in the last 5 minutes, we need to focus on soft skills. For sure. We need to step up our parenting. I want to squeeze this in really quickly. Education. The K through 12 education in the US is lacking. I did a blog post on this. I personally think that all teachers should start at 6 figures, and it should be as difficult to become a teacher as it is to get a job as an engineer at Tesla, right? That's what I personally feel. And if we did that, do you know that in 20 to 30 years, we could probably erase all of the debt in the US? If we really just went in, leaned in hard on raising the bar with teachers and making it extremely competitive to have a teaching degree.
Yeah, I actually haven't heard that, but I actually wholeheartedly agree. Teaching degrees are sometimes just I can't get anything else, so I'll just do this.
Correct.
But you are building the next generation. You're not just doing a job, right? It's one of the most important jobs. And my wife is a school teacher.
Really? She'd be happy to hear that.
Yeah, not because she needs the money, not because we need the money necessarily, but because she wants to invest in the lives of children. And when you have people like that, and of course she has multiple graduate degrees and so on and so forth. So she's an amazing teacher. But we need more people who are willing to strap in like that. But I hadn't heard that stat that you think it would erase the national debt. But and
it'll take a minute, 20 to 30 years. It would also
just take a minute. Yep.
It would also promote equity, because if everyone had the same quality education, that in itself will undo a lot of the things that we have started a conversation about the DEI before. Because all the students, whether you're in public, private, rural, it helps everyone have a quality education.
That's right.
$100,000, and it's possible to do.
Yeah.
That's the thing that impressed me. But you just got to have the will to do it. So
absolutely.
From our mouths to God's ears. So the last shift, what was the last shift? We talked about the shift with education. We talked about the shift, what you're seeing with college degrees, not having a lot of the employers said they don't necessarily need college degrees. Anything else that you're seeing as well?
Well, I'll just point out the last shift. If you're a job seeker and you're struggling to find a job, that's because you're actually in an AI war, whether you know it or not. Because what has happened, and AI is changing the landscape on any number of things. It's in my mind, it's just a tool. It's a very powerful tool, but it's a powerful enough tool that it's changing the way people interact with each other. And what I mean by that is what happened 5 to 10 years ago is you started to have people, what they call robo applying. So instead of going through the process and applying to a job individually, they're like, this is a lot of work. I don't want to do a lot of work. I'm going to have an algorithm or a computer program go and apply to lots and lots of jobs for me. Some people are applying to 100 jobs a day, and they're not actually doing that themselves. Well, the problem is then the companies are getting drowned in applicants that maybe aren't even a good fit, because when you have truck drivers applying to computer programming jobs, then the company throws up their hands. I talked to one business. They had a computer programmer job. They had 800 applications in the first 4 hours.
Oh my God.
And the vast majority of them had never programmed in their life. It was just these algorithms are out there applying to these jobs for these individuals. And so what do the companies do? Well, then they buy an applicant tracking system, an ATS, and they say, okay, I need some sort of algorithm to weed out the bad candidates who aren't going to be a good fit, right? Okay, well, that sounds like a decent idea, but the problem is hiring is a distinctly human activity. You need to look someone in the eyes and decide if they're going to do good work. And so what's happening is now the robots are fighting. And I heard from a gentleman recently, he said, I have applied to 100 jobs, and he actually did it himself. And he said, I would apply to a job at 6 p.m. at night, and by 2 a.m. I was rejected. Well, it's not that the HR department was working all-nighter. It's the algorithm decided that he didn't have the right things on his resume or whatever. And so all of a sudden, as job seekers, we're kind of left out in the cold, because if you actually do things the right way and you try and apply to a job, if you haven't gotten all the right keywords in your resume that only the ATS knows, you're going to be rejected out of hand. You're never even going to be shown to the hiring manager. And so anyway, that's the shift that's happening in the labor market. And RedBalloon's doing some really cool stuff, which you don't have time to talk about today, but we have some really cool stuff we're doing to push back against that and make hiring distinctly human again, while using AI to bring efficiency and effectiveness to humans, not to allow AI to make the decisions on who you're actually going to hire.
So can we drop that into the episode description, like how to find you on LinkedIn? I'm assuming you're on LinkedIn, and your website address. Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrew. This has been so good. I learned a lot in this episode. And it seems like everyone has to step up their parenting game for sure.
100%. Hey, it's been a real blessing to talk to you. Thank you for taking the time, and look forward to talking again sometime.
All right. Have a good one. Bye, Andrew.
Bye.